In this video, you're going to learn a lot more about how to select great evidence. If you're completing notes, look through places that you have blanks on your handouts and fill them out as you look through this presentation. Go ahead and press pause as you need to. Let's start with what is evidence. In any argument, you're trying to prove something. We call that something your claim. And your claim is supported by reasons. If those reasons, which we call key ideas, are true, then your claim must be true. But then in turn, we need proof that your key ideas are true. That's where evidence comes in. Let's take an example.
Now. Example claim. Colonel Mustard committed the crime. How do you know? Example of a key idea. He was there in the room where it happened. If that's true, maybe he did do it. But how do you know he was there? Example of evidence. I know he was there. His fingerprints were found at the crime scene.
What is the chalice of knowledge? Is that what it's called?
So any argument functions like that one, where you have claim, key ideas, and evidence all working together. In fact, an argument's a lot like a tree. Think of the claim like the trunk. Think of the key ideas like the branches, and think of all of the evidence like the leaves on the tree. Your evidence proves that your key ideas are true, and these key ideas help prove that your claim is true. Everything connects, just like the parts of a tree. And a lot of good evidence makes for a healthy argument, just like a lot of leaves make for a healthy tree. Notice how there are more leaves than anything else on the tree, and there's only one claim that everything comes back to. So there are three kinds of evidence that we want you to know about. The first kind of evidence are facts. The second are examples. And the third are expert opinions. Let's go through each of them one at a time. So to start with facts. Facts are 100% true. They are not just one person's or one group's opinions. And that's how they're different than a claim or a key idea. Both of those are opinions, but facts are true. A statistic is another word you might hear, and a statistic is just a fact that uses numbers. Here are some facts. So to support the opinion, peanut butter is unhealthy, you could give the fact that sugar is one of the first ingredients in Jif peanut butter. You may agree or disagree that peanut butter is unhealthy, but it's a fact that sugar is listed near the front. Another fact, just 2 tablespoons of Jif peanut butter has 24% of your daily value of fat. Second kind of evidence is example. Examples tell about one time something happened, or they might tell about one member of a group or one thing in a category. So you could take the category of mammal, and an example of a mammal is a giraffe. Another example of a mammal is a kangaroo. Here are some examples of how examples might show up in an argument. Take the claim, slime shouldn't be allowed near Chromebooks because it's too messy. One example. One time a 6th grader spilled slime on his Chromebook and the keys got so gunked up they stopped working and he had to pay for a new one. That's a kind of storytelling example that some people call an anecdote. Take a look down here too. Spilled slime could gunk up the keys, it could leave a weird residue on the screen, or it could short circuit the wiring. Those are 3 examples of bad things that could happen if slime got too close to a Chromebook. Type of evidence number 3, expert opinions. Expert opinions are opinions that come from someone who is an expert on the subject. We trust that they know what they're talking about. This is a one kind of evidence that's not 100% true, but we trust that it is true because we trust the person who's giving the opinion. Here are some expert opinions. For the claim that sleeping at least 8 hours a night will make you a healthier person, we could look to some experts. One expert opinion is, according to neuroscientist Matthew Walker, quote, sleep is the Swiss Army knife of health. Since this guy is a neuroscientist, somebody who studies the brain, we can trust that he knows what he's talking about. We don't really need more proof. Another expert opinion. Sleep researchers from Harvard and Penn State University say that kids who don't get enough sleep can feel out of control, they can have trouble learning and getting good grades, and they are more likely to become depressed or overweight. There's no facts, there's no statistics backing it up within this quote, but because I trust that a sleep researcher from Harvard or from Penn State knows what they're talking about, I trust that they're right when they say these things can happen if you don't get enough sleep. So we talked about 3 kinds of evidence, but what makes for good evidence in general? Good evidence has 5 characteristics. Number 1, it fits your key ideas. Number 2, it's specific. Number 3, it has clear and a trustworthy source. Number 4, it's paired with evidence from another source. And number 5, it's paired with a different kind of evidence. Not all evidence is equal. Let's take a look at each of these 5 characteristics. So to start with, good evidence fits your key ideas. There's lots of evidence that you could use to back up your claim. Make sure you organize it so that you're putting evidence that makes a lot of sense for one key idea together and save other evidence for another key idea. So if your key idea is Kindles are too fragile, you might give an example of the time your friend's Kindle broke when she hardly dropped it at all. You'd save some other examples of the kinds of books that you wish were available on your Kindle, but they aren't, for a different key idea, because it doesn't match the key idea that they're too fragile. Number 2, good evidence is specific. It really hits the target. Take this key idea. Diary of a Wimpy Kid books are funny. A specific fact is there are 312 jokes in the first book. A specific example is the part when his dad throws a bucket of cold water at him on Halloween, had me laughing for 5 minutes straight. Both of those are way more specific than something like there are a lot of jokes, or there was one part I found really funny. Number 3, good evidence comes from a clear and trustworthy source. Make sure that you explain where your evidence is coming from. So here's an example of something that is clear and trustworthy. In a news article from the New York Times titled "Food Caused the Smelliest Farts," it says, ... The New York Times is a source that people have heard of, and they generally trust that New York Times articles are well researched, they know what they're talking about. Number 4, good evidence is paired with evidence from another source. So maybe you've got this great example from your own life that you're going to use to prove your key idea. Perfect. Use it, and also provide some evidence from another source, maybe from a Newzilla article that you read. And lastly, good evidence is paired with another kind of evidence. So you might have a fact that's going to back up one of your key ideas, use it, but also use another type of evidence. Also use an example or use an expert opinion. That blend is going to best prove your claims. So in sum, unless you select good evidence, you can be absolutely right, but no one is going to believe